So hi guys, welcome back to a new Photoshop tutorial. My name is Manny. You can still find me on Twitter at MannyPhoto. Today I want to show you guys 3 dodge and burn techniques. If you're advanced, or just bear in mind these techniques are most probably common and you know already about them. But if you're a newbie, this might be a quick tutorial helping you get on your way what dodge and burn technique you want to use and why I use which dodge and burn technique. Alright, so let's get started. Now with the first technique that I want to show you here, the first dodge and burn technique, basically working again on gray layers. So first of all, I'm going to go down here and just create a new layer. I'm also going to select the marking tool, Command A, that just fills up my complete canvas with the selection. I'm going to hit right click and say fill here, so we can now fill this with 50% gray. Over here under my contents area, I'm going to select a 50% gray, which is already selected. And my blending options, I'm not going to play with that, just keep it to normal. I'm going to hit OK and we have a new gray, 50% gray layer. Okay, also pressing Command D here, get out of that selection. Now what I'm going to do is again press Command J, duplicate that layer, and we're going to rename that. So first of all, double tap on here. I'm going to say hard. Okay, and also our second layer, I'm going to rename that to soft. So first of all, my soft dodge and burn layer and my hard dodge and burn layer. But now obviously we still have to change blending options, so I'm going to go back to blending options here and switch it first of all to overlay. That is just for my hard layer. For the soft layer, I'm also going to go to the blending options and switch that to soft light. Okay, so now we have our 2 layers. They're also not visible anymore, but they're still there, so we can now dodge and burn on them. I'm going to select both layers again, holding shift, press Command G again, and we're just going to write here dodge and burn number 1. So this is our first dodge and burn technique. Okay, so in here on our hard layer now we can work a little bit harder, and on our soft layer we can work a little bit softer. Now I don't want to show this dodge and burn technique over the whole image. There are a few tutorials already out there explaining exactly how to do dodge and burning and how to work with this. I basically want to show you guys in this tutorial the 3 different methods there are for dodge and burning. So in this case now I'm going to take the hard layer here and also I'm going to work with my brush now. So basically brushing on this layer, on this gray layer. So for that I'm going to press B again for my brush. First of all, opacity here at the top. I normally work with the opacity around 0.7 to 10%, as well on the hard as well on the soft layer. So both layers I'm going to work with 7% opacity. Then as well the flow, I always keep my flow to 100%. You can actually play a little bit with this, take it down to 50% and it will just work a little bit finer, or your brush will work a little bit finer and softer. So it's a little bit more control for you on that side. I love to actually keep it up to 100% and that's working for me. Then as well my pen pressure sensitivity here at the top is also switched off at the moment. I'm working with a Vacuum Intuos 5 board, so it's a little bit easier for me with a pen to use the pen pressure sensitivity and to work on your images. If you have it with a mouse, I don't think that will work so easily. So I would encourage you to get this board. It's a very good board. Anyways, okay, let's continue. So what I'm going to do now is just basically paint with a black or white foreground color on this simple gray layer. I'm going to switch off this layer quickly here and just show you here. This is now with just a 7% opacity with black. If I want to switch with X to white foreground color and paint now, we can obviously now dodge and then again switching again, and we can now burn. We can also take our opacity up here. So now it's obviously very dark and completely burned. We're switching again with X and over dodged. So these are just the different methods here, but there, like I said, are a few tutorials on YouTube how to dodge and burn properly with this. I'm going to go just to my history panel here and switch all the way back. Okay, so my opacity, as we said, should be just 7%. Then as well, I'm going to press Control Alt here, so you can get, just first of all, I'm going to select the brush here, Control Alt, and we can now feather our brush completely and also change our diameters. If we go left and right, if we go up and down, we can change our hardness here. So my hardness should be at 0%, opacity 7, and my diameter, I'm again changing that while I go through my image. So I'm going to turn on the basic here, as well holding Control Alt, so you can do either that from CS4 onwards, or if you're working with a Vacuum Intuos 4 board, again left and right here on your little wheel you can change brush sizes. So this is very important for me because I'm dodging and burning always with different brush sizes. Okay, so let's go a little bit through the image. I'm just going to dodge and burn this center here of the girl's face. So on the hard layer, I've got now black foreground color, so we're starting with burning. First of all, I'm just going to go through her eyebrows here a little bit. So one strike and another one, and also on the left side. We actually can do something else. I'm going to go 2 steps back, so we haven't burned anything yet here. I'm going to do exactly the same effect here on the right hand side. On the soft layer, just burning again twice, once and twice. And already you guys can see a little bit more of a harder difference. This looks a little bit harder than on the left side. Here it's a little bit softer. So let's go back to the hard layer. Normally what I do, I take my brush all the way down to very small diameter and then just brush on all these little contours and lines here just to give it a little bit more structure. But that is just on my hard layer, not on the soft, just on your hard layer. Okay, so then again, just going in here, painting a little bit on her eyelashes and as well on the eyebrows here. Okay, on the right hand side as well. Also going through here a little bit more. Okay, around the pupils a little bit. So it's giving everything a little bit of a structure. Okay, and then over here, I'm not really brushing here on her nose and going all in the way. That I want to do on my soft layer. I literally just want to go with the hard layer and brush in all these little small areas here where we have some hard defined shadows already and lines, as you guys can see over here. Now I'm doing this just once, twice, then as well going down here. This I will do with the soft layer. I just want to go in her mouth and just give that a bit of a structure here again. Also the brush, very, very small, very fine lines. Okay, a little bit bigger and just refining that a bit. Okay, so that's basically all already almost for my hard layer. Then I'm switching to the soft layer. I'm still burning now. So now I'm going to go and just burn a little bit over here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, press B again for brush. And now I'm just burning literally all these big shadows that we already have here. A little bit over the eyebrows again, or under the eyebrows, in here a little bit. Okay, also on the cheekbones, on the chin here, just giving that a bit of shadow. Down here and down here. So I'm basically following again just lines where we have a bit of shadow. Okay, over there. And now I'm switching back to white foreground color so we can dodge now. So over here, dodging the nose a bit, as well on the top. Just brightening it overall, a little bit under the eyes here. And this is, we can easily overdo this. So be a little bit carefully when you do this. But don't forget, you can always change your opacity and fill here. I mostly just work with fill and take the fill a little bit down, and that just works in a little bit better. Okay, also here on the lips again, so just dodging that a little bit. And again, changing the brush a little bit down, just giving that a small line, but that I want to do on the hard layer actually. So going back to the hard layer and just giving this highlight here a really a nice edge actually. A little bit down here as well. So I can easily overdo this today, but normally I will spend a few more hours just doing this very carefully. Okay, a little bit on the pupils, on the eyes a little bit. Down here I'm going to make it really big, my brush, and just give her a little, like one little tap over here. So it's just brightening it up a little bit. On the cheeks I don't want to go too far in there. Maybe one tap over here. Okay, and that's basically already just for obviously her face. Don't forget, you should always dodge and burn over your complete image here as well. If she would have more of a body down here, you should also dodge and burn that as well. So don't leave that out. Okay, I'm just going to show you guys quickly now where I dodged and burned. And this is very, very roughly, guys. It's just quickly to show you guys. So over here again, you can see I burned down here. I dodged and burned there. Let me just switch off our soft layer. So everything that's with the hard layer over here is now, obviously you can see the highlights, just get a little punch in here, and all the little structures around here, again with just a little small brush burning those as well on the eyes over here. And then again for my dodging, for the soft dodge and burn, it's just literally on the skin and then just selective areas again, and again just giving us little dots over here, like click 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 around, and then a small stroke at the top and around the sides here. Okay, so that's mainly my dodge and burn technique. I'm just going to switch on our ground layer here again. If it's still too hard, as you guys can see now, if I minimize the group on, well, that's the before and after, so it tends to sometimes be a bit too much. So what I do is take the whole group opacity down a little bit, or I switch to open it and take the hard layer if the hard is a little bit too hard. Like I said earlier, I'm just changing down the fill a little bit, or if I want to, if it doesn't work that good for me, I mostly work with opacity. Now the next one that I also found and saw a lot of beauty photographers actually use is the curves method. So for that, we're going to go to adjustments here, and we're going to select the curves adjustment layers. Let's also just make it a little bit bigger here so we have some space. Okay, so first of all, under the curves adjustment layer, you can just work normally in your RGB mode here, and we're going to select this little hand over here, and you can go through your image now, have a look with the lightest spot, almost the lightest spot, so somewhere over here. Happy with that. Going to select it and keep holding on the mouse or your pen and move that just a little bit up, just to push the highlights a little bit in your face, or in her face now. Okay, so we've brightened the complete highlights here of her face. We're not going to play anymore now with our curve. First of all, what we're going to do is on this mask, we're going to invert that. With Command I, we're inverting that, and we're going to create exactly the same again. We're going to go again back to adjustments, and we're going to go back to our curves adjustment layer here, and now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to just take the shadows and darkening them a little bit. So I'm going to take the hand over here again, move a little bit around in my image until I'm really happy, or actually finding a very dark, mid-dark point here. So I notice here on the nose, that should be around there. So I'm going to hold on there and just drag that a little bit down, just darkening everything again. So over here, as you guys can see, it's getting quite saturated as well, so I don't want to take it too far. Somewhere over there. Okay, that's nice. Now what I'm also going to do is take again the mask, again Command I, and invert that again so it's hidden again. Now we can also over here, because obviously this is everything that has to do with highlights, so we're going to say here dodge, and the second layer we're going to rename that to burn, because it's all has to do with our shadows. Take both of these layers, Command G again, put that together in a group. I'm just going to rename that to dodge and burn. Dodge and burn 2, there we go. Okay, let's open that. And now again we can do exactly the same effect again with our brush. So we're going to select our brush, but this time we can work a little bit harder. So 0.7% won't do that much of an effect. So we're going to take our opacity all the way to around 30%. And for this method also, I noticed that the flow also works pretty good. So I normally kept the flow up at 100%, but it looks a little bit edgy. So with the flow, it just gives it a nice soft, a really soft overlay effect in the dodge and burn techniques here on the layers or on the curves. So let's also take it down a little bit further. I want to try it around 40 to 50%. Start at 50. If it's too hard, take it a little bit down. Okay, so again with your brush, let's just select the brush here. Obviously, I also have to select a mask here. Okay, so on the mask again, I can also press Ctrl Alt, left and right, check the hardness. It should be super soft. My opacity, that's all good. I'm just going to take the diameter a bit. And now I'm going to do exactly the same again. Just this time, I'm going to work just on my dodging area. So everything that I want to lighten, I'm going to just make this a bit smaller here. Just dodge on here a little bit. Okay, dodging on the nose, then I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and just slowly dodging over here. But this time it's really nice. I can stroke, another stroke, and just slowly go through my complete image. The flow allows me to just go and do it over and over and over. Okay, also over here a little bit more over here. I'm going to change my brush size again. I'm actually going to keep it still big for down here. Okay, a little bit down, and also over here, a little bit under the cheeks. Okay, a little bit on the lips again. And now I'm going to actually go back to the burn layer, and I also want to burn a little bit. I'm using again the same brush settings, again the same opacity, and again the same flow. So I haven't changed anything yet. I'm just going to go over here a little bit, but it's a little bit easier and a little bit more controlled if you ask me. So it's a little bit better of a technique. A little bit in here on the eyebrows and eyelashes, okay, as well over here. And now I'm doing this quite a lot. So I'm doing over 2 eyes, 3 times, 4 times. Okay, a little bit here on the sides. From her nose again, and also on the sides, just burning a little bit again. These sides here on the hair. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer now to try to do that effect that I mostly do, is where I burn a little bit more all the small lines and edges here. So in here a little bit more. As you guys can see, it's slowly coming. It's not as hard as the normal gray layer effect. Okay, it's also my flow is obviously still 40%, so I can try to make that up a little bit. Okay, let's see how it works on the right side. Yeah, it's not really that hard. Okay, going over it a little bit more and more. Okay, applying it also again a little bit on the eyebrows. I can easily overdo this. It's actually a pity that we don't have a lot of hair here in this image, because it's sometimes coming through really nicely on hair, especially as you guys can see now over here if I'm darkening this. And again, going to dodging layer over here and just dodge in here. That highlight comes really nice through. Okay, so let's have a look now. I'm also going to highlight just a little bit the eyes. And zoom out again. So obviously I've not applied this to everywhere. Let's also switch this off here, so we can't really see now where we dodged and burned. Let's create quickly a new layer. Command A, fill this again with 50% gray. Let's have a look. That is how we dodged and burned this time. So it's a little bit softer actually and more defined if you ask me. Okay, on both layers, let's delete that other gray layer. Press Command D again. So here we are with our dodge and burn technique number 2. Let's also delete that. So that's the before and after, and it looks a little bit more believable and a little bit more refined and actually a little bit better. If I still want to enhance and just give this the whole shadows a little bit more of a contrast, I can actually change the blending options here as well to overlay. That's just a little bit too hard and you're getting this weird edge over here, which is not nice. So let's take that to multiply. Yes, and with multiply we can get even a really hard burning layer here. So we can actually take this burn layer now and again change the fill all the way down. So we're just filling this, say with, I don't know, 20 to 25, 30%. Just giving this, but the contrast is really nice with this. Okay, so also you can again adjust your fill or opacity for the different layers if you want to. And obviously readjust that. So it's very easy to overdo it very quickly. So guys, just try it out, do it on your different steps. I used to always do it with my gray layers, sometimes with these layers. So it always depends. Okay, so now what I want to do is still show you guys the last technique again. You can just create a new empty layer, call this dodge. Okay, over here dodge, and we're going to create actually a duplicate of that because it's empty, and we're just going to write here burn. Okay, so keep those again to dodge and burn, and now you can basically paint actually just with a white foreground color or black foreground color on even a low opacity again with brush just on these dodge and burn layers. But now they obviously still change to normal, so just take them down to soft light, and also the burn we can also try again overlay and soft light. So let's go to dodge, go in a little bit closer here. And first of all, again, press B for my brush. This time I'm also going to work with my flow just around 50%. No pen pressure sensitivity on, nothing. And my opacity I'm going to work around 10%. Let's see how hard that is. So again, painting just here on the nose. And let's have a look if we turn that on and off. So it's getting a little bit lighter. You can actually change the opacity up to 15%. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger here. Just paint here on the top. So again, it's one stroke and another one. Going also through here and just brightening the image on certain areas again where we already have some nice highlights. Again, just on the dodging layer, also on the lips. Okay, and as you guys can see, I'm also changing again my brush sizes. So that is always the same almost. It just depends on what techniques do you like. Do you like the curves? Do you like the plain layers? Do you like the gray layers? So over here a little bit. Okay, let's go a little bit higher again. Okay, so it's really bright now. Now I'm going to go to burn and just change with X to black again. And in here, burn a little bit. So again, this is again a few strokes. Also over here. Okay, let's go into the eyebrows. Sorry, the eyelashes. Okay, a little bit further. I'm going to do it on the left side as well. And all these little small lines as well. Okay, and down here as well. Also giving this line a little bit of a structure again. And I'm doing this now a few times just to get a really hard structure in there. Okay, down here, a little bit, make my soft a little bit, brush a little bit softer, a little bit harder. Okay, on the sides here, all the way around. A little bit over here, cheekbones, darkening those a little bit. On the hair again. Okay, going to zoom out a little bit. Going to do this now very softly here, just on the nose, left and right, to just make that a little bit thinner. A little bit here on the top. So again, like as you guys can see, a few different methods, just how to do this. So again, here's our burn and our dodge layer. So let's also try if we take the soft light here to overlay, again giving it a bit more contrast, but over here we get this weird extreme saturated look. So I wouldn't recommend that, rather on a soft light where it actually shines just through and works better. Okay, one last step that I still want to do now on this burn layer here. I want to get into the layer options or layer style over here, and down here under blend if, we can use our little sliders over here. If you hold Alt, you can go into the black sliders here, hold Alt, and that will basically split those little bad boys here. So now I can move this around and just let that black fade in a little bit better into all the light areas. As you guys can see over here, it looks a bit heavy saturated on the burn layer. If we take the slider up a little bit, it slowly fades in a little bit. We get loads of those light skin tones again back, and it just fades in a little bit better. So you can still control your your burn layer a little bit better. So that's also another technique. Yeah, I would say let's check both of these layers again. Command G, say dodge and burn again. Dodge and burn process. We can actually say dodge and burn process number 3. So again, you've got now another new option how to dodge and burn. Let us zoom out a little bit here. Again, over here it's a little bit lighter. It's hard to decide which one is the best. So this is number 1 again, dodge and burn, just on gray layers. Then we have those with the curves. And now our last with just normal white layers, or actually empty layers. So for me, if I'm honest, I always used the gray layer system. It worked pretty good the last 5 years. But now slowly I'm getting here to those curve styles where I think this is actually more refined and you have more control for curves. So I'm definitely going to switch over to curves. Okay, yeah, so that's all about the dodge and burn technique. Please give me a thumbs up, support me with a like, leave a comment down below, let me know what dodge and burn technique do you guys use mostly and what do you think is more effective. Then as well, don't forget to subscribe and see you next week for some puppet warping.